Have you taken a packet
No,
diag?
Vineet.
Not yet, is it?
No, not yet.
Do you know what is the purpose of taking diag as well? What do we need, to do a diag? Why do we do
No.
a diag?
In which scenario,
To
can you give 1 or 2 examples where, which scenario would you go for a diagnostics?
traffic logs.
Okay, I'll give you one scenario. Say, let's say,
Yeah.
I'm a user, I'm unable to connect to GP,
Okay.
right? I'm unable to connect to GP. I'm getting a very weird error, right? Portal config failed or something like that. Do you prefer? What do you do? Do you take a diagnostic for that?
Or do you do initial check to find out if it's an actual issue or a simple problem?
Yeah, we will for GP and all. We will check this like GPS logs and all.
What's
Right.
on the firewall?
And firewall.
Yeah. So packet diagnostics is very sensitive. So we
Okay.
only take when we actually need it. So
Okay.
we just don't go in the first call itself and we do packet diagnostics.
Hmm.
We take when it is actually needed. Let's say you've done every troubleshooting and you know the firewall is misbehaving somehow. That's the only time you do diagnostics. Okay. So you in a simple SSL handshake with a firewall failing, you know the policies very well. Everything is fine. But the firewall is acting weird. Then we'll go for capturing the packets. We see what firewall see. Like it's actually decoding or giving verbose info of all the packets that is going through the DP. So the DP is the point place we take diagnostics, right? DP is the
Yeah.
where DP is the place where packet is being processed, right? It's being parsed and it's looking to the packets, and whatever it sees will sees by the DP, we'll get that information, verbose information in English, right? That's the
Yes.
use of packet diagnostics.
Hmm.
Yeah. um yeah, we need
Right.
so
So
yeah.
yeah, on the direct part, I mean, it should be the last step, right? And considering what you guys have internally now, right? I mean, the process are strict, right? You should do it. There are multiple checks that you do before you run a, right? You should ensure your data plane is low. Don't run it in a high DP scenario, right? And when you set up a diagnostic, right? I mean, we need to work on the filters. Filters should not be wide open filters, right? I mean, same applies to PCAP as well. Don't do a very big PCAP when your DP is at 95 and all, right? It is risky, right? There is potential chance of causing a high DP packet drop scenario or even a firewall crash. So high DP scenario, avoid doing, right, data plane intensive task of capturing a lot of packets or running a big diagnostics, right? So these all should be done during, right, off business hours or, right, maintenance window as such, right? Not really maintenance window, they could actually use an off business hours, right? Evening, Friday evening is a good time, right, to do that, or a standard day evening, right? Rather than doing it on a Monday morning, right? Go for a Monday evening, right? Afternoon session, right? See the load on the firewall, and then you can do that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Anytime when the firewall is not busy, that's
right,
okay. So we generally go for show resource monitor last 15 minutes or last second, right? So we'll see monitor then something like, yeah. So it's just showing us what is the average. So look for the average and maximum also. And last 15 minutes, it never went high, right? All the things. Packet buffer, packet descriptor. Packet buffer is a memory place. um, Packet descriptor is a queue before it being sent to the DP. So if these are high, um, we should not take it. Uh, I think
correct.
Vinith voice was
Yeah,
broken, right?
no,
You
no,
were talking about it? No,
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 right? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So yeah, right. Packet buffer, packet descriptor, these things, right? Critically, right? It's not about the packet buffer descriptor during debugs. It's more about the CPU utilization, right? Why? Because this is where we are saying a diagnostic is going to impact the CPU utilization, not the packet buffer or PD and all, right? We are not going to insert more packets when you run a debug. It's only going to put more pressure on the CPU, right? Why? Because CPU has to create a log file which is going to write down exactly what DP is doing for each and every packet in a very detailed manner, right? So it's adding a lot of responsibility to CPU and hence, right? So typically not suggested, right, about 85 and all, right? I mean, it depends, right? Once you get that exposure, right, you might feel confident for a small SSL problem and all. You might even take in 85 DP scenario, but
Yeah.
not, right? Not that comes with experience, right? You know what would be the potential impact, what firewall it is, right? So you take that. But ideally, when you're unsure, don't go. This is the idea. If you're unsure of the impact, right, don't take the risk. Inform the customer about the risk. If it is that bad, get an approval documented on the ticket, right, from the customer, and then only proceed, right? Else, right, it is going to be on you, right? So don't take a risk with the customer network. Why? Because bringing down a firewall means the entire network goes down, right? So business down for, right, 5 minutes, 10 minutes until the firewall reboots. Right? It's going to be a major problem. So don't take risk in those diagnostics part, right? Time it properly, right, and then do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
And also, it's not about a filter as well. If you properly set the filter, but the client and server talks too much, right? If you do run the debug, it has to collect, debug all the packets, right? So that also add intensity, and the CPU may shoot. So in the lab as well, you can try. You can download a big 1 GB file
fine.
and see what is the CPU increased, and you can do a normal SSL connection and you can see what is the CPU. So that distinction should be there. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
one more common problem that I've seen on the floor is that when people stop the diagnostic, right, or even do a packet capture, but mistakenly they turn off the filter first instead of stopping the capture or diag.
Mhm.
Right. So when you're running a diagnostic or a capture by mistake, right, from the CLI or from the GUI, right, if you stop the filter immediately, when you disable the turn on filter option, what happens is you're telling the firewall to capture everything going through the firewall, through all interfaces, right, all data plane interfaces. So what I mean here is, right, this filtering, right? So the always stop the capturing, all stop the diagnostic, only then turn the filters off. Don't be in a hurry to turn the filter off. Right?
Yeah.
The reverse approach. Let's say I am doing a packet capture or a diagnostic. Instead of clicking here, I'm first disabling filtering and then I'm stopping. As soon as I turn this off, it will start diagnostic or creating captures for everything going through the firewall. DP will immediately touch 100. Right? In a matter of seconds, it will hit D, and you will see a potential impact, traffic drop, and all. You'll see it. So be very careful of those things, right? Wrong approach in turning off the filters is common thing that we have seen, or enabling the debug. They have set the filters but forgot to enable the filters,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes what I have seen personally is this toggle button sometimes causes confusion. In the GUI, it gets stuck in the middle and all. Right? See, now it is actually, see, when I click, it is only showing this much.
So,
I don't know if it is enabled. I go with the assumption. Don't do that. When you get this scenario, do a soft refresh, confirm what is the current, right? And then only move forward. Right? If it is stuck in the middle and all like this, right? Don't go with that. Right? The UI part is so confusing sometimes, right? Because of which you end up screwing up the firewall. So be
yeah.
very careful of that, right? Always refresh and see, right, your config is correct. Right? You've set the filters, turned it on, and then only proceed with the capture or diagnostic.
Yeah. Better to rely on CLI rather GUI in this scenario. Show
Absolutely.
setting will show, if it's on or off. That's pretty. And also, filter, right? Whereas Vinit said, do not turn off it. Just keep it on always. After you collect, after you aggregate the logs, you make sure that there is a logs. Then, disable the filter. You know, just before you, hang up the call. Right. So it will be too safe. So this is
Right.
the command debug diag show setting. You see packet filter enabled? Yeah, no, currently no.
It's
If
not
it's
enabled.
yes, yeah, it will show the filter, I guess, too.
Fine. So you can set the filters from the UI, right? That means from here, if I set a filter, right? I mean, basically 4 filters we can add. Let's say I'm adding one, right? So I'm saying, right, 10.0.1, 2, 8.8, let's say. And I'm adding a filter, right? You can add from here, right? Which you can see here itself, right? As soon as you see set the filter, see there is one filter added, but is it enabled? No, not yet, right? I can enable it from here, the GUI as well, right? And do that, right? So now it is enabled. See, yes. So or you can use a CLI, right? So set filter, right? Off if I or on, right? If I do that, right? If you refresh, you can see here it's turned off. So what typically, right, what I would advise to save time, right? Commands might be little time taking when you set a filters. So what I suggest is set the filters on the GUI, right?
Yeah.
Click OK, turn it on, give a show setting command, ensure that the right filters are there, ensure that the packet filtering is enabled, right? That means your filters are good, airtight, right? Be very specific as possible, and filtering is enabled. Now you're good, right? Your filters are set, right? So typically for a client to server transaction, how do we do? It's right. Let's say this is a public server. This is a client user. The second client IP to public IP and public IP to your NATed firewall IP, right? Let's say firewall public IP is 5.5.5. Right? This will capture both legs, right? Pre-NAT and post-NAT scenarios. It will capture. This is a standard filter when you use to when you try to capture a packet or a diagnostic for any internet-bound server traffic, right? You're connecting to Facebook, that's having a problem. You're connecting to any website in the world, right? Having a problem. Client to server IP, server to your NATed source IP, right? Firewall's address interface IP, right? And specify the ports, right? Let's say 443, right? Destination port. Reply will be from 443, the reply will come. Protocol will be 6, right? If I know the interface, I can mention that as well, right? And non-IP, I'm excluding. By default, it is exclude. Means I don't want layer 2, right? Packets or anything. Only IP packets I want to capture. Right. So filters are right configured. I'll verify my filters here, right? So settings, see filters are good. Now filtering, is it enabled? No. So I'll enable it on, right? So now filtering is enabled. So setting,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Filters are put in and the filter is enabled. So that filtering is done. Now what I'll do is, right, for PCAP, I can set the stages, right? 3 stages is what we suggest, right? So when we typically take a diagnostic, it is always advisable to take a packet capture and a diagnostic together,
Yeah.
right? So that you can compare the data, right? So the standard stages, receive, right? Receive would be there, transmit, EX, right? The name you can use as per your wish, right? That's your understanding. But this is the right standard naming, right? TX. And this is what typically we go. Firewall, right? Typically not much useful as such. But yeah, these are the stages that you set, right? And now you come back here, you run the command again. Now you can see here, right? Filters are enabled. Filters are set, filters is enabled. These are the stages that is set, right? Packet capture, is it enabled? No, not yet, right? Logging. Logging here means diagnostic here, right? Logging, is it enabled? No, not enabled right now. So before you set, now what you have to set is, you have to set the logging features. You want to tell the firewall what are the diagnostic logs that you want. That means for which functionality of the firewall are you expecting detailed logging, right? So for that, you set up the packet diagnostic feature, which is done completely via CLI, right? So that you from here, it is all CLI. Debug data plane packet diag set log feature, I believe. Yeah, log feature, right? And these are the different, right, feature sets that you have, right? So if it's an app ID related problem, I'll go for app ID basic, right? Or app ID all, right? Or app ID policy, DFA, right? There are different things. So why we need this, right? That you can see, right? For similar Jira, what have they suggested, right? What type of level logging they wanted, right? This we cannot predefinedly sell, right? Typically, right? Basic is more than enough, right? In exceptional cases, you go for other things, right? All or TFA policy and all, right? So once you set a feature like this, right? When you run the show setting command, you can see here, right? App features, app ID basic is enabled, right? So we can have multiple such settings, right? This is just app ID. So let's say I'm troubleshooting an SSL decryption problem. Typically, what is needed is an app ID basic and an SSL basic, right?
Also proxy you can enable.
My bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it is SSL basic and proxy basic what we typically type. And proxy basic, right? You do it. And once you see the setting, proxy basic is mandatory, right? That is the key component. So yeah.
Because
Right.
proxy means, it's kind of a proxy, right? Man in the middle. So as the name indicates, a proxy is needed.
Right, so we have set the features, right? So there are multiple, right? So if you're working related to content
HTTP,
ID, right? Or so it might be CTD related, right? So depending on what you are working, so you're working on HTTP2, right? You can call HTTP2, right? You're working on TCP level or tunnel traffic, right? Tunnel flow, you take it, right? Typically done for tunneling, encapsulation, decapsulation errors and all, right? Very rare case, but yeah, sometimes you'll see that. Or it might be, yeah, go ahead.
URL try for, URL category.
Lookup,
all these things,
right? When the URL category is not fetched or it is taking too much time, right?
Don't
but
go
that
for
is,
all.
URL
settle
try
which-
is very important, right? URL try is creates extensive log, so be very careful with URL try. That's one thing. And as Ajin said, please don't use all. That is going to blow up the firewall if your filter is a little bit. And think about that traffic, right? The amount of traffic also. If you're downloading 1 GB file with all done, right? Maybe as soon as you set the logging on, the CLI will stop responding. Understand that your firewall has crashed immediately. If the CLI stops responding, that means firewall is dead. Right?
Can't do anything because you don't have CLI.
And customer will be wondering, okay, I think the SSH session some problem. I'll try to connect again. Immediately he'll start getting pings. Network down, nothing working. So don't be in that situation, right? Be very judicious about what features you set, right? Only apply what you need. Double check it with other similar tickets what they've taken, right? And you need to log it. If I am not wrong, currently the process is right for you guys. You need to put an internal comment of this show setting command on what is that you're going to do. Right? This output needs to be captured if I'm not wrong. What the filters, is it correctly enabled or all right? All of this. And I believe maybe not this. Okay, I think after the debug, you need a show setting command which shows diagnostic is disabled, capturing is disabled, and the shock lock output, which shows that you have successfully disabled all the debugging right at that time. That's a proof that the support did a good job, right? They did not screw up. So that's like a fail-safe, right? Due to legal complication that might arise, right? If you leave it open. So yeah, and that also be very careful, right? Don't hurry in taking a diagnostic. That's one thing, right? Take your own time, make sure that everything is good, right? I mean, don't be alarmed due to time, right? Always when you set up a call for diagnostics, right? Take ample time as per your convenience, right? And don't hurry into things, right? And mess up, right, the situation. So
as Vineet is doing, this is the same way we do. I mean, we set a feature, we check show setting, whether it's enabled or not. What's in the log. So show setting is a real cool way to making sure what you have enabled. Even if you enable, you set log on, then only it will start log on, right? So just make sure what are the feature you set by doing a show setting each time you set a feature. Okay.
Right. And once you're good, right, every setting is good. I have set the filters, packet filtering is enabled, the stages are set, the diagnostic features are set, right? The last step that I have to do is set the capture on, set the logging on.
Yeah. Before that, maybe we can ask the customer if old logs are already there, if that can be exported or deleted. Right. Also, I think in the newer version, I believe we can call it a name for our logs to aggregate, right? Something tag it, something like the tag something we can name for us, and I believe tag will give us a name for our capture, I guess. Don't know if that is the one, but there is one for that. Yeah, just keep that in mind. But always ask customer whether I can remove the old log, or do you want me to export it first, and then delete it.
Right. And how do you clear do it? I mean, packet tag, right? If you want to clear the old logs, it is clear log, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? Log. This is to clear the logs. Right? Once you do that, debug
Show
logs
setting.
are clear. Right?
Yeah. Then do show setting. Make sure filters are there, logging is enabled. Packet filters are set, stages are there, and you make sure logging is not enabled yet, right? It's no,
Yeah.
right? And the packet capture is also no. Yeah.
Now, once we are all good, right? We start off with the capture first, right? I mean, typically I go with the capture first and then the diagnostics.
Yeah, me too.
Right. So set capture on, right? So on, packet capturing is enabled, and set log on, right? Packet
Sure
diagnostic is enabled. Now, if you see the show setting command, you will see packet capture is currently running. Diagnostic is also currently running. Logging is enabled, right? It's now we're just tracking everything. So, right, if you see the show running resource monitor output, right? I mean, here you might not see anything, but in an actual customer firewall, you will see the CPU spiking a little bit much, right? Depending on how much amount of traffic you're capturing or logging, right? So always, right, good to see if you're causing an impact or not, right? Real quick. And then once you're good, right, at this point, you can ask the customer to start the traffic, right? And once he has replicated the problem, right, we give the set capture off, right, and set log. So do the first turn off the logging, right? Set log off, then stop the capturing, set capture off.
Do we show them one, capture logs? Maybe
Sure.
an SSL connection to a single IP website.
In that case, okay, let me just check this topology. Okay, this topology we might have a problem. We do not have an access.
GP thing can be
so I'm stopping this, right? And I'll open a different lab for that.
okay.
In that case.
So that will help you if we enable flow basic, and we can see what are the packets, what's captured, and fast path where it is, forwarding packets, what's the egress, everything is visible on that logs. So you will get an idea, where to look, what to look in an issue. I think for them this lab missed. Maybe they may have some doubts, but yeah, always recorded videos there.
SSL Lokendra, I did not attend this.
No, for them, right?
Okay. The other two folks. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's let them go through the video, right, and come back to us.
Yeah.
All right. And do you guys have internal trainings that is happening, guys? I mean, Lokendra, if so, please do be part of those, right? Internal trainings, right? Technical leads or somebody else taking training. Always valuable.
Right now, they're not at all conducting any trainings with external, whoever they are there. Externally, they're somewhat they're teaching some topics.
Okay. All right, fine. Let's see. So see here in this use case, right? What we're going to do is let's use a standard website, right? A website with a single IP. We'll find it, and then for that we'll be doing a packet capture and a diagnostic, and we'll see how we can compare it, right? How do you compare that flow, right? How it is. So for traffic issues, right, as Sajjan said, right, don't go with diagnostic on the first approach, right? Go for normal traffic log, session
Yeah.
ID output, then global counters, right? Global counter is very powerful, right? I definitely like global counter, which gives you a very good idea on why it is getting dropped, right? Counter might not be very precise. Sometimes it might be generic, but at least you get an idea why it is getting dropped, right? And then based on that, right, if you need, you can run a packet capture, and finally, right, there is no other way, right, you can go for a diagnostic, right? And diagnostic is very rare typically. So for weird content ID related problems, SSL decryption related problems, right, or anything else, right, with URL, right, we typically go for, right, app ID misbehaving some way, right? Very rare, but yeah, right. It's not that every day you have to take a diagnostic as such.
Yeah, but app ID debugger, very verbose. We can literally see what's happening or what's being detected, which app is being detected, why it's not detected. It's super cool. App ID, I did a lot. App ID misbehaving. When we do it, the diag will show which, why it's matching which, because it have a database and it's compared with the pattern, right? So that will match. It's checking for Zoom app. It's Zoom app Zoom meeting, Zoom cloud. A number of checks we can see literally on the diagnostic logs. If that output and if if we have that output, we know what exactly happening. It's way too easy to isolate a problem.
Okay. Lokendra, by the way, have you dealt with any upgrade scenarios, any problems with that? Firewall upgrade, downgrade?
No, Vinit.
Okay. So yeah, sometimes, right, I mean, upgrades, right, over the week, typically over the weekends, right, that is when customers plan it up, right? Upgrades don't go well, right? So go right, the maintenance mode, right, from you should have a basic idea on maintenance mode, right? How to deal with it, right? Because typically, right, what I've seen is, right, when we get into maintenance mode, we get confused. Why? Because we don't get much exposure to maintenance mode. It's not every day that you go to into maintenance mode as such, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you should know how to get into maintenance mode. What are the operation we can do? Because you may come across such scenario a day. So because maintenance mode is the firewall, you can't enter into the normal CLI, right? Sometimes it's directly go to maintenance mode. So what are the options we can do from maintenance mode? That will help a lot. You know Rather hitting that issue without knowing it, it's better to know something and then get that issue, because you don't panic. Maintenance mode is powerful. You can reinstall an OS. Some if, as you, last time you said, right, sometimes some libraries may get deleted or corrupted. You can even reinstall software, and it will again run smooth. So many things are
Means,
possible where, yeah.
means you are saying that whenever the firewall goes down and it not able to come up, and if the customer having only single firewall, in that case, if we go, we can go into maintenance mode and get back the firewall. So
Yeah,
as
so
usual, says.
yes, I mean, reinstalling panos from, there will be a panos already
Okay.
on the database. That's we are reinstalling it. If certain libraries got corrupted, right? In those scenarios, maybe because of support of a person's mistake or some other bug, or maybe it's directly going to
Hardware
maintenance mode.
problem.
Yeah, hardware
Yeah.
problem. We can't do much on it, right? Either an RMA, or we can try reinstalling it. That's the only possible ways.
Okay.
So yeah. better to know all this.
Right, so there is a revert option in the PanOS maintenance mode, right? So if you've installed a new version, you always have basically there are two partitions, sysroot 0, sysroot 1. So when you install it, it's to the second partition that it is getting installed. So when you revert it, the old partition is used to boot it on, right? So you can always go back to the old PanOS. So when you get into such a scenario, yeah, right, you have basically two options. Either you roll back to the previous PanOS and see if the firewall boots, right? And what they will do is they'll give you tech support and ask you for RCA in that case. Or right, if after reverting also it's not working, then that means the firewall is bricked. You need to do an RMA and very fast as possible. Why? Because right, if they don't have an HA setup, it's going to cause network outage right on Monday. So that you need to take care, right? I mean, involve the RMA team to get that done. But yeah, right, corner cases, but sometimes right, old devices and all when they upgrade, right, and this typically happens to old device guys who don't upgrade for too long, right? They'll keep it very old PanOS, right? And once in a blue moon, they'll decide they'll upgrade. And what they do is they jump 5-6 versions at a time, right? They'll go from PanOS 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, like that. Multiple jumps doing in a single day, right? And ultimately, when they see that in 9 there is a bug due to which right, it's not coming up, and their entire plan goes for a toss. They need to plan it for different PanOS than what they have known. So typically, right, end users, customers typically plan this according to the release note. What is the known issues? They always go through that, right? When they decide on what PanOS they want to take, they always go through known issues. What are the problems? So when that upgrade path goes right into another state, they have to compromise on something, right, which is more nearer. And what happens is they might end up with a PanOS which might have a little bit more problems, right? All of that. So those typically happens, right? I have seen personally some cases where right we see hardware problems, right? And typically with older devices, PA500 and all typically. But yeah, maintenance mode, make sure that you go through that, right? I mean, it's very clear as such that there's no complication, right? Only a few configuration that you have in the maintenance mode in terms of reverting, in terms of getting the logs exported out using a management interface, using a TFTP or SAP server. Then for the FIPS mode or CCK mode, right, where you want to have the federal standard set for the firewall, or if you want to do a factory reset, right, DDoS, NSA method, and sorry, DOD or NSA method. Okay, let me see. Okay, finally we're logged in.
We need a request.
Yep.
Can we wind up at 6?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
If there anything, we can continue tomorrow.
No, we'll end up. We don't need 15 minutes more, right? And we're just taking a diagnostic and stopping.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a user system, right? So this is a typical user system. So right, setting up the captures very fast. So IP config, right? 10.0.10. This is my private IP. So right, I'll go with that. Whom should we select as the destination? Which website should we go for?
Anything
Blue.com?
with one public IP maybe.
On that day, we tried this URL filtering, right, Vinith?
Right.
Only the Times of India has worked. The rest I have added again 3 to 4 SNIs, but it didn't work. But only for that Times of India, it's worked for continue option. Rest I have added as usual in the same URL group, but for that it didn't work.
SSL inspection part, right? Did you enable that?
Yeah.
For entire all of this traffic you have enabled, right? Times of India, okay. For so specific pages, it was not working.
Yeah, later on in that same group, I have added 3 more website addresses.
Okay.
Okay.
So for that one, it is not resolving. For only Times of India, it is getting continue page. If you click
But
continue,
for the other traffic, were you decrypting it or not?
yeah, decrypting, we can able to see whatever the decrypt this certificate which we have assigned. That one only we can able to see on that.
Okay, okay. Um,
Those are
it,
separate site, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
not Times of India. It's,
no, no, I have ordered SBI website and
uh-huh.
some another SRM Tech something university website address I have added. But those are all decrypting, but not sure why it is not getting the continue option.
It should
um,
ideally
On that day
should be
also we
shown.
tried at most probably 1.5 hours we tried, but we didn't got here. But later on when I went and tried in office, it is getting that continue page.
Typically, for continue page, you need decryption, response pages enabled, right, and URL filtering license. These three things are there. It should work.
Yeah.
Right, unless, right, I mean, we would need to take a har file output and a diagnostics to actually, sorry, a packet capture and a har file to actually, typically a har file to understand what is happening, is the firewall redirecting it or not, to a block continue, right? It might be with the SNI, it's not matching correctly, might be the embedded calls. For example, Twitter, when you go for it, right, there are some slight changes in the immediate redirection. So it gets redirected to different URL, and that actually works. So we need to analyze how this website is coded, which URLs or SNIs is taking up
Okay.
to actually deliver that, right? Her file output will actually tell you how the flow is happening, right? From that only we can go forward.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe probably they may be using a different domain like CDNs. So if those not being decrypted, the firewall can't see, right? It can embed a page if that is also not being decrypted. So har file in from the client, you would see what is the redirection, where it is going, right? Then it will, according to which it should give the continue page. So it should give the continue page if it's decrypting basically. And why it's not giving the response page, that is something we need to investigate. The redirect portion, or maybe check for whether it's only for continue or you can block it or not. Try different
Yeah.
combinations, right?
Yeah. I'll try next.
Yeah, don't go for continue also. Just go for
Okay.
block as well. So you know,
Okay.
right? If this is particularly for continue or not. That's how we
Mm,
test. Okay.
okay.
All right, guys, I'll quickly move on to the diagnostic, right, in the interest of time.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the client IP, private IP. So I've done an NS lookup to the web server that I want to connect. So this is the web server's public IP. So I put that in 64.190.63.111, right? This is the IP. So client private to server public to firewall address interface IP. And the ports, registration port for 443 TCP6, right? And it should be, right, non-IP exclude. I don't want non-IP packets, right? And these are two filters that I would need for a normal SSL connection. I'm setting the filters on. Stage is receive, transfer, drop is enabled, right? All good. So we'll quickly go to the diagnostics, right? So debug data plane, packet diagnostics, set log feature, right? I'll go with proxy basic, um,
Flow maybe.
and
Flow basic.
I'll go with app ID basic, right? And SSL basic. Typically, SSL basic is more than enough, but
Yeah.
since you're doing it right,
Maybe
let
flow
me see.
basic also, bro. Maybe you can
My
see
bad.
the sessions.
Actually, so flow basic. Flow basic is must, right? I would say for every diagnostic, flow basic you should capture to easily find out which packet where, right? So flow basic as well. Now show setting, right? Let's see. To see what is the current setting, show setting. Okay, fine. Show setting. We can see, right? Filtering is enabled. These are the filters, right? Packet diagnostic is not enabled. These are the features set, right? And these are the stages, right?
Mm.
So to start the capture, right? Set capture on. right?
You already
And
cleared the log, so there is no
yeah,
logs.
log on, right?
On.
Now diagnostic is also on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
show and connects the
Yeah.
website and
So
yeah,
if I want to see settings, right now it is on, right?
Yeah.
Logging is enabled, capturing is enabled. Go to the client, right? I'll go always use an incognito, right? To avoid browser caching and all. So I'll go with right HTTPS, right? I'll go for blue.com, right? Website loaded, right? A standard transaction, right? I'll kill it, done, right?
yeah.
Now
Show
I'll
session, maybe show session ID and or show session filter destination IP just to print that IP.
so this is 360, 64. This is the IP. So 178. Show session ID 178.
You know
Right?
the
This is the
session
output.
ID. Yeah.
Right? So this is
So
the
always
data.
collect. Yeah, always also collect this. Session info, counters, right? That's how you troubleshoot show session. So according to the you can print counters based on the filters as well. I think show counter global filter packet filter filter delta is right something.
Right. So right, the capturing is currently that I've disabled the diagnostics, right? Set log off and disable the capture set log off. Now both log and capturing is disabled. Now I need to aggregate it, right? So packet debug DWM packet diagnostic aggregate logs. Right, we'll put it into a single file, time packet diag.log, right? Why? Because right, aggregating is nothing but multiple DP, right? First packet might be handled by DP0, right? Some packets, right, by the owner, which is DP1 or DP2. So combining everything and aggregating it, putting it to a single file, and this is the file, right? Less. So if I want to see it here, less pan packet tag, MPFN log and underscore packet underscore tag dot log. So this is the file which has created. Now, right, I'll quickly download the capture as well. And so this is the RX and TX, right?
Whenever refresh, if the traffic is passing through, then automatically the filters will replicate here.
Fair. No. This is just a GUI thing. What I've seen, what I've done to see the file. This refresh has nothing, no other impact. Capturing everything. These buttons does not have any impact as such. Why? Because this is a static file entry, right? I mean, unless I refresh, I cannot see if a file was created or not.
Yeah, that's what. When the traffic is passing through, then only these files will replicate, right?
Correct. When
Yes,
the
yes.
packets are getting captured, only you will see the files getting built, and the
Yeah.
size will start increasing. If you
Okay.
keep refreshing, right, you will see this file size increasing slowly.
Okay. When there is no packet has captured means the files will be
Nothing
not
there.
replicating, right?
Correct. No, nothing will be visible here. It will be blank,
Okay. Okay.
right? So this is a standard capture here, right? So receive and transmit, right? Both are there. So if I want to quickly see, right, let's say this is the receive capture, right? I'll just merge it with the transmit, right? So that we can see both, merge the TX as well. So now both are there, right? So this is pre-net and post-net. So this is pre-net, after netting, send, right?
Yeah.
So both stages are there. So I want to see the client hello. So how I can easily find it, select the packet, I'll go to the IP header, right? I'll find what is the ID value. So it is 233, sorry, 23331, right? This is the IP identification value. I'll go here in the packet tag, I'll put a / to search it and 23331, right? So I'll hit next, right? N for next match, right? See, this is the packet ID 2331, right? This is the packet from source port 4913 to D port 443.
Sequence number and acknowledgement number, everything. Layer 4 information is see there. Length of the TCP packet, right? Window, checksum, everything is visible here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
L2.
So this is each packet, right? So the first packet you will see here, right? It is creating a flow. So you can see here, this is fast path. Packet received at fast path. So initially there was a slow path, right?
Yeah.
Session there. I
Yeah.
see. This is the slow path. right? Packet received, right? This is ordered session, right? We are getting it, and we are creating a session, right? For this. So it's a slow path processing initially happening, right? But this is not a slow path, right? Because why? It's a client hello. Where will you see the source slow path? Only the SYN packet,
Yeah,
right?
maybe we can filter that to the
Sure.
first port or packet.
Right.
Sorry, ID.
SYN
So it
packet
will
ID is
show
23328. So I'll just do the less command again.
slash
23328.
and
Right. So
keep on N.
N, yeah.
You see first packet.
This is the file, right? So you can see here,
Ingress.
no active flow found. NQ to create session,
Create a session.
right? And it is packet received at slow path stage, right? And it is doing the processing. So you can see here, see app ID processing, everything, right? NAT, actually, NAT policy lookup match index, right? Allocated session ID 178, right? Which we saw there, right? Session ID was 178.
And NAT rule, you see, trust to
Right.
untrust. Everything is visible here.
And it is matching the
First rule,
right, the index value, which is right, which policy it is hitting, right, and which rule. See, trust to untrust, it is showing clearly, right? So, and it's saying source address translation from 10.0.10, it was converted to this. It's doing a pat, right? A source
port
pat
is
it is
changed.
doing. So it's source IP and source port, both are changed, and session is enqueued to be installed, right? So we can see, right, from, so it gives very granular details about what is happening in the firewall, right? And see how the packet is going out in the fast path. So first SYN went to slow path. It's the life of packet only. Slow path session was installed. Now it moves to fast path, where it does the lesson processing as such, right? Everything is good. There is no app packet or app data here. Right? It's doing a forwarding lookup, right? Packet forwarding stage, it will moving. Forwarding lookup in the stage, right? It is doing a L3 mode route lookup, right? And route lookup for this destination IP. Route found interface E1 bar 2, which is untrust. Zone 2. This is showing the zone ID value, which you see in the show interface all command. So if you see the zone 2 there, it will be untrust. Next stop is the gateway. And resolving R for the gateway and sending it out. ARP entry found for, right, on interface 17, right? Which is E1 bar 2, right? And transmitting the packet, right, on port 70. Right?
You also
E1
see
bar.
session ID there, session 178 below NAT session run address translation, and when app ID session in it, then session 178, right?
Right, session 178, right? You can see here. So, right, this is how it works, right? I mean, it's going to completely give all the information, right? So this is for the SYN packet. But if you, let's say, right, if I'm looking for URL, that also I can do, right? This is blue.com, right? See, you can see here.
Server
This is
name.
about certificate, right? See, talking about certificate, search subject blue.com, right? What is certificate there, right? If I search for SNI, right, that also will, okay, I think I've gone too front, that is why.
I think maybe it's for server name indication, I don't know. Server name, right? It's called server name, something like that. Client hello error 0 found server name from TLS SNI, yeah.
See, SNI, server name, right, extension, server name is blue.com. This is for the client hello, right? This is what you're sending, and right, when the certificate is coming, right, it's having blue. If it's a decryption problem, right, it will show up here. Right, you see errors here, right? What is it, right? Certificate signing algorithm not supported, right? Or cipher suit selected, right? Not supported. Client certificate used, whatever it is, will show up here, right? Only thing is you have to read, go to the right place. So if I have a decryption problem, I'll search for the URL, come here, and then I'll start to read slowly. I'll show a proper error. It will be an error log stating that, right? Error log, send this, right? And terminate connection. Let me do the show.
You can export this log and search in a notepad, or you can use the slash then search. He searched it, right? Slash SNI.
You can also use an advanced method, right? I mean, to do the grep as well, right? I mean, from here also you can do that, right? But yeah, it's like I think LSMK maths. Is it maths? I forgot. It is less and MPFN global, MPFN law. Yes.
Pen packet only, right?
Okay, this is pan packet. I need to check that. There was one log before pattern match. There was
Yeah.
right after context, before context. There was fine.
Yeah, get used with this command. Okay, find command keyword. This is super cool. You get a lot of commands that we even don't know. Maybe it's not even in the documents.
There's
I think match command only.
Okay, let me just quickly check something.
Or maybe find command match may show, I guess. Let me see.
I don't remember, to be honest, right? I mean, but yeah, as he said, right, you can export it out, right? Typically, people prefer exporting it out. On call, right, it is difficult to, right? It will take more time. So how do we export it out? Take a right, diagnostics, sorry, take a tech support file output, right? Or you can use the, I believe,
SCP.
SCP export has the option, right, for
Yeah.
pan packet.
Yes. You can export it by SCP.
Do you have it, pan packet tag? I am not sure because I have not taken it.
I think it should be there. Did I even to root for this? I don't remember, but
Yeah. Right. Typically, right. I mean, easier method would be to go for a tech support file, right? I mean, yeah. So when you take a tech support file, it will be there in the OPT. The varlog bundle. Right? If it's a VM, right? Varlog bundle, it will be there under MP logs. It will be there. If it's a data plane log, when physical firewall, go to the OPT repository, right? And under DP logs, right, you'll see it, right? Pan packet tag.log, right? If you and from that, right, you can use the open it in Notepad++ to evaluate all of this, right? And make sure, right, once you have solved your diagnostic, right, to make sure that you've completely logged it off, right? Set show setting, right? This is one command, right, to see, right? So if I want to clear all of this, I can use the clear option, right? Clear all, right? So you can clear the filter alone, you can clear the capture, right? Filter the log, or if you use clear all, it will clear everything, right? All settings and turn off log, right? So you can use that as well to clear everything. So it will be back to normal, right? And the diagnostic is typically, right, very powerful. So make sure that the filters are good. Don't do it in high DP scenarios, right? And find it, right? And always use the IP ID value, right? This value 23328, right? To isolate it. Don't go for the hard method, right? Or you can use the source or destination IP URL, right? But if you want to specifically look for a packet, right, use the IP ID. It should be much more easier, right? Any questions? Are we good?